Thank you.
Justice Barrett? Justice Jackson?
And so I guess I thought this case was about the meaning of primarily for religious purposes and was not about the other part of the exemption, which relates to the operation and control of a church. And so that's why I looked at the committee report, which is very clear that it was suggesting that the orphanage, separately incorporated, would not be considered to be primarily for religious purposes. It does not say it would not be considered to be operated and controlled by a church, which was your answer. But setting that aside, can I just focus you for a second on I just have a couple quick points on the statute and your reading. You say that we should read the statute as purpose being religious motivation. And as far as I can tell, purpose doesn't always mean that. So, I mean, purpose can mean many things. It doesn't necessarily mean motive, not necessarily, certainly not unambiguously so. It can mean the ends to be accomplished. It could be fulfilling a particular need. You know, my pen serves a purpose. It allows me to write notes, and that has nothing to do with motivation. And so I guess I'm wondering whether the ambiguity in what the statute means when it says for religious purposes doesn't invite us to consider what Congress was actually trying to do when it was drawing this exemption.
Well, I certainly don't disagree that a purpose includes something, you know, the end to which something is directed. And if you look at the dictionary definitions that we quote on page 15 of our brief, we include a definition for purpose that is like that. And I think it dovetails well with the definitions for operation, which ask what is we are carrying out a principle or an undertaking to an end. And so the end is the purpose, and the end here, according to Catholic Charities Bureau, is to be an effective sign of the charity of Christ.
No, I understand. I understand that that is a version of purpose that is relating to their motivation, which is to be an effective sign of the charity of Christ. But there's another idea of purpose that would be, what is this organization's activities about? What are they offering? And I guess my concern is that view of purpose seems to make more sense of the exemption in this case. I mean, if the two hospitals, the Catholic hospital and the secular hospital, are performing the same services, I don't understand why one would be exempt just because they have religious motivation versus the other. I don't know what the statute is doing to make that kind of distinction.
And this gets back to, I think, to the beard-growing, tea-drinking example that I was talking about, to say that we don't think courts should be in the business of saying that a particular activity is inherently religious.
No, it doesn't at all. What I'm saying is, if you are right that the line that's being drawn here is about motivation, I don't understand how the exemption works. There must be some rational reason why Congress would want to exempt the exact same kinds of services being provided just because they're being provided by somebody who's religiously motivated versus, the restaurant we have two identical vegan restaurants. One is being run by people who say this is a tenet of our faith and we're doing it in order to be a ministry for our religion. And the other is run by a person who has no such motivation. Why would one rationally be under the unemployment exemption and the other one doesn't? If you instead think of purpose as not motivation, if you think of it as the actual services that are being provided and the distinction is in that, then Wisconsin says the reason why we're exempting novitiates is because if we don't, we're going to get entangled in religion as we try to adjudicate those kinds of claims. It only makes sense if purpose is focused on the activities rather than the motivation.
Yeah, and I think that the fact that it is a religious exemption means that it makes sense to focus on what is the motivation for the acts that you're doing.
Even though we have another prong that says it's church-related, and that seems to take care of this is being motivated because a church is doing it.
But this is in addition to that. It not only has to be operated, supervised, or controlled by the church, but it has to be done primarily for religious purposes.
My friend mentioned the...
Thank you, counsel.